Hello and welcome to Cleveland Classic Cinema. Tonight's movie is 1956's Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, directed by William Bodine.
Okay, banga banga.
Since when do you talk a native language?
I just started today.
Well, what do you say?
What do you say? I don't even know what I said.
I need you, oh, my do I, baby? Of course I do. Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo turn an island paradise into the zaniest madhouse in the 7 seas. Charlita puts a gleam in Duke Mitchell's eyes. Your smile only added life to your masquerade. Muriel Landers puts the whammy on Sammy.
Sammy! Run for your life! Go on, get out of here. Run for your life.
Ramona, the romantic chimp, takes off on a romantic chase of her own.
Strange, but interesting.
Really think so? What is Charlie counting?
Bela Lugosi finds the perfect subject to turn a gorilla into a goof, and versa versa.
Look, what are you trying to tell me? I don't understand a word. What am I, dumb or something? Don't answer that. Now look, Duke Mitchell, I'm running this game, you understand? And don't talk back. Yeah, now put it on, because we gotta get out that
This movie is about as good as it sounds. I mean, with a title like Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, you can't be expecting much. I know I wasn't. The first time I ever heard of this mess was back in the 80s when I started collecting movies on VHS. There was a company called Admit One Video that used to put out the most obscure, bizarre orphan movies you could possibly run on. They were the first ones to put Ed Wood, Bowery Boys, and other abominations like Maniac on video. Having a predilection for, shall we say, outre movies, I love that company. The best thing about what they put out, however, were the trailers they put at the beginning of the tapes. They were basically just ads for other movies they offered, but they were complete original trailers for these oddball movies that you ordinarily would never get to see. One of them was a trailer for tonight's film, and when I saw it, I was dumbstruck, to say the least. I had never even heard of Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo before this, and probably never would have until I ran across an article about them in Psychotronic Video magazine. Lest you guys out there start to think I've finally gone over the edge from watching too many awful movies, let me assure you I knew how bad this movie was bound to be from the outset. Well, I thought I did anyway. Believe it or not, when I choose a movie for this show, I do give it some serious thought. I decided to show this one sight unseen. I mean, I had seen the trailer for it and was kind of rubbing my hands together, cackling with evil glee as I considered inflicting this movie on my unsuspecting viewers. I imagine it was akin to the feeling a mad scientist in a movie gets when he considers what the impact of his killer robots he's about to unleash on an unsuspecting world will be. The only difference being that once I got a look at the entire film, I felt kind of ill at the carnage that would surely follow its release. There are movies you think and you watch and think, how in the name of God did that piece of crap ever get made? Did the people working on it actually think they were making something worthwhile? Weren't they scared of being hunted down and being put to death by slow torture for committing this atrocity to film? Have they no sense of the value of the minutes and seconds that make up an individual's life? Have they no shame? This is one of those movies. And having watched this movie 3 times, I can answer all of the foregoing questions. I'm about to tell you they couldn't have, apparently not, none whatsoever, and hell no. Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla is one of those movies that not only doesn't care that it's not funny, it rubs its unfunniness in your face. This movie is aggressively unfunny, like the host voiceovers on America's Funniest Home Videos. It's the filmic equivalent of getting a spinal tap with a rusty auger. Now that I got you all hooked, let's get on with the bios. Sammy Petrillo was born on October 24, 1934 in the Bronx, New York. He appeared in 4 movies in his short film career, spending most of his life working and flourishing behind the scenes in television production. Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla was his first movie, followed 10 years later by what was pretty much a walk-on in 1962's The Brain That Wouldn't Die as one of the photographers taking pictures of Doris. He did that pretty much as a favor to the director as he was visiting the set that day and they were short an extra. He also appeared in 1961's Shangri-La, a nudist camp film directed by E.S. Seeley, and 1972's Keyholes Are for Peeping, another softcore film directed by the legendary Doris Wishman. Born into a show business family, he recalled that his Jerry Lewis imitation first started when he went to the annex of the High School for Performing Arts in New York. The annex was a trade school, and you could get a free haircut there from people learning the trade. He remembered, and so I got my freebie haircut, and the guy cut my hair and started to laugh. And I said, "What are you laughing at?" And he said, "You look just like that guy, Jerry Lewis." I said, "Get out of here." And everywhere I walked, people laughed and asked me if I was Jerry Lewis. It was unbelievable. He then found out where Milton Berle rehearsed his TV show and crashed the set, telling the studio guard he was Berle's cousin. Berle introduced Sammy to his agent, who then took him to a hotel where Lewis was staying. Lewis wasn't exactly kind when he met Sammy, but decided to feature him on the Colgate Comedy Hour, a TV show Martin and Lewis, who at the time were the hottest act in show business, were guest hosting. Sammy played Lewis's newborn baby son and was a huge hit. Lewis then signed Sammy to a personal contract and deliberately prevented him from getting work. The elder Petrillo eventually had the contract annulled as Sammy was a minor when he signed it. Sammy then had to deal with the fact that because of his resemblance to Lewis, no matter what he did or how he did it, people would think he was imitating Jerry Lewis. He recalled, "People figured I was doing Jerry even if I wasn't. If I was doing the so-called norm that a comic would do, a double take, cross his eyes, I came out looking like Jerry. George DeWitt, a comic he had teamed with at the time, would come out and do a Dean Martin thing, and I would come out like Jerry, and everybody would freak out, and then we would do our own stuff. I did other impressions which covered up for doing Jerry. I looked like other people, too." Lewis didn't care and did everything in his power to sabotage Petrillo's fledgling career, like threatening to boycott any nightclub that hired him and his new partner, singer Duke Mitchell. Duke and Sammy continued working in nightclubs and TV after the movie was made, continuing even after Martin and Lewis broke up. Sammy later recalled, "When Martin and Lewis broke up, we were offered a TV series of 52 episodes. We turned it down. I don't know why we did that. We must have been real jerks. We thought we were flying high anyway. We then found that Dean Martin was behind the offer. He was really great. I remember when we did the Colgate Comedy Hour, Dean was very fast, very funny, a real ad-lib comic. At that time, he was known as a straight man, so people don't know how funny he really was. I used to say, yeah, this guy is really fast and funny, and people would say, you're just saying that because you look like Jerry Lewis and you're having problems." After Sammy and Duke amicably split up, Sammy went into TV and became a director and producer in addition to hosting several shows. He says, "A lot of people are doing jobs that they're not really happy doing, but it's nice to dream. It's nice to do what you can do when you can do it for some kind of fulfillment. Just living and being able to pay your bills and being able to eat, that's a form of success in itself. People who strive to do show business but still do regular type jobs and they have to do show business on the side, there's still a fulfillment in that. There's an old saying, and I believe it. Each show that you do is a success within itself. Whether you perform for 100,000 people or for 2 people, to make them happy and to be able to lift them into another world momentarily, that's a form of success." He's still living and working in Hollywood, California. Duke Mitchell was born Dominic Michelli on May 9, 1926 in Farrell, Pennsylvania. He appeared in 6 movies over the course of his career and directed 2 independent films in the 1970s, Gone with the Pope and The Executioner. The main body of his career consisted of singing while headquartered in Palm Springs, California. An interesting bit of trivia here. He provided the singing voice of Fred Flintstone in the episode where Fred was the singing sensation Hi-Fi. Duke Mitchell died of lung cancer on December 2nd, 1985 in Hollywood, California. Sammy Petrillo was 17 years old when he made the movie you're about to see. Jack Broder, a producer at the Real Art Studios, caught Duke and Sammy's show at the small nightclub and loved their act and got the idea to have them star in a low-budget film. Real Art was making a good buck re-releasing the Universal horror movies like Frankenstein and in particular Dracula, so Broder thought it would be a good idea to have Bela Lugosi in the movie for marquee value. The movie was first going to be called White Woman of the Lost Jungle, but when Broder's assistant, Herman Cohen, insisted that they use Bella's name in the title, they came up with Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla. When Jerry Lewis heard about the movie going into production, he confronted Broder in his office at Real Art Productions, and they had a screaming match, and Lewis threatened to sue if they made the movie. They made it anyway, and when it was done, Hal Wallace, a producer at Paramount, met with Broder and offered to buy the film, intending to destroy the negative. Broder and Wallace couldn't agree on a price, so they released the movie. They made back a little more than their $100,000 negative cost, but not by much. You know, every time I believe this show has hit bottom, along comes a movie that proves my hope is unfounded. First it was The Creeping Terror. Then The Beast of Yucca Flats. Then it was Maniac, which, to tell you the truth, is without a doubt the worst movie we've ever inflicted on an unsuspecting public. But that movie is really an anomaly. You know, finding a movie like that was something like being an entomologist turning over a really big rock and having something you've never seen before scuttle out from under it while you leap backwards going, ugh! The thing scurries into the bushes and disappears, leaving you with your, leaving your skin crawling and the fervent desire to wash yourself all over raging throughout your head. And although you never quite forget it, the ugh feeling kind of fades into a memory that you get, a little shiver about, but, you're able to live your life knowing that this horrendously deformed thing exists in your world, and odds are you'll never come in contact with one again, provided you don't turn any more huge rocks over. Unfortunately, this job came with a big crowbar specifically made for turning over huge rocks. Thankfully, I've never had another maniac shoot out from under the rock and crawl over my shoe, but every once in a while there's this ugly rugose thing half buried in the dirt that you don't think is anything until it moves with this slug-like swelling, and you realize that although this isn't hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime monster you caught a glimpse of before, this one is going to stay in your head forever due to the fact that when light hit it, instead of just scurrying away, it just lay there glistening in the sun, forever imprinting its ghastly image on your brain as it capers around the transom of your mind. This is a movie I'm never going to be able to completely push out of my head, no matter how hard I try. I know that, for whatever reason, people who watch this show stick around to watch the movie after the intro, no matter how hard I try to discourage them from doing just that. This may seem disingenuous to some, but the fact is that a lot of people, many more than I expected, in fact, have a soft spot in their hearts for truly bad films. I myself am one of those people. I love bad movies, but even I have my limits. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to claim that this is the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not even close. It's definitely got one foot in the general area. Just giving you a fair warning. So right now, sit back, relax, and try to get through Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, right here on Cleveland Classic Cinema.